I've completed Bloodlines 2, and these are my final thoughts. And I say final thoughts because I doubt I'm going to play this game again. And that's a bummer because I wanted to play this game multiple times. And note that there will be no specific story spoilers. So let's start it off with Fire. The name chosen by the Nomad has no material significance whatsoever. You do overhear bad guys saying how the Nomad is a stupid name, but that's as far as anything goes. And just like your name, your character is meaningless. You are a window through which the world of Seattle is shown, but you are never an active participant. Oh sure, you're told to go here, go there, do this, do that, but you aren't the one initiating those actions. You aren't the one actively investigating anything. You don't get the chance to question people on their decisions and motives, nor do you get to influence their decisions. Your character is never actively researching their mark. They're never digging into the background of the people you meet. They're just doing the bidding of the various members of the court. The fact that you're an elder doesn't stop you from having to go dig through trash cans, remove graffiti, remove cameras, find trinkets. Honestly, I never felt like I was an elder. I was, at best, the hired help. I even had to live in a dirt hole the whole time. The one time my elderness felt in any way significant was when I delivered my verdict on a mission for Nico. I was able to take a Banu Hakim option, saying that this was my judgment and it was final, and he gave me the very satisfying answer of he was not in any position to challenge an elder. Along with not being an active participant, choosing your clan is only your combat playstyle. There were not even a half a dozen Banu Hakim conversation options. Contrary to what we were told by the Chinese room and Paradox, your clan choice and the background that you're allowed to develop had no impact. And as for that background, there were 3 times you got to mention your background. Before you choose your clan, you can tell Fabian whether you were a warrior, a traveler, or a scholar. And then you can tell him a memory that stood out. A bit later in the story, you're able to offer a character some information about your background, and when they do ask, you can give a clan-specific answer. Each clan has 3 choices. This is the one and only time this happens. And as far as choices and outcomes go, there are a couple of significant decisions to be made, one of which you're given a hint about the outcome one way or the other. The others, you're just making a choice and stuff will happen anyway. My one piece of advice, as far as the story goes, you're not going to know what choices you've made have influenced which ending. Unless, of course, you go out and look. And without foreknowledge, you're probably going to get an ending you don't want. And it appears there is one central piece of dialogue you have to take, otherwise it cuts you off from several possible endings. You have no idea that dialogue is that significant. It is way too easy to get one of the bad endings. I got a sort of okay ending, but it was in no way the preferred ending as far as my character was concerned. So given the horrid save system and the no direction on where your dialogue's taking you, this might be the one time I say take a perusal out on the internet and look at least the generic requirements for the various endings. So if the game isn't about fire, who is it about? Well, it's about Fabian's detective work. It's not about all the characters. It's not about Fabian. It's us getting from point A to point B in his investigation. Now, I enjoyed the Fabian character, but I don't want to play through all of that again. At best, it should have been a set of cutscenes, and at worst, we should be allowed to skip them. Once you've unraveled that yarn ball of mystery, it's not fun unraveling it again. And then you throw in the insane back and forth traversal of the city. You'll likely want to tear your hair out in any subsequent plays. As for the mystery, it's generally okay. However, this is also a case of the game doesn't tell you need-to-know information. I guessed who certain characters were and who the bad guy was well ahead of time, but when the big reveals came, there was none of that, that clue there, oh yeah, okay, I see it with that clue. They were mostly info dumps and, this is the bad guy. And this game deliberately withholds information and lies to you. It's not a good mystery unless you present me with the clues so that at the very least, when it's all said and done, I can see them linked together. Fabian, for me, was the only character to which there was any connection. All of the side characters only became interesting at the absolute last quests of this game. Just when you're thinking, oh, I'd like to go check that out, that'd be an interesting bit of the story to see what's going on, the game is abruptly over. As I said before, you're never allowed to suss out more information, dig into people's backgrounds, look into their motives. You're just along for the ride. And at best, you find incidental information, that environmental storytelling as they call it. A file here, a piece of paper there. But you only find those because there's a big fat circle in the screen and you're following it to when it starts getting glowy red. Not because there's a mission for you to find this information or a reward for finding it. And the only thing I'm going to say about the ending is abrupt. You don't get a final choice on what happens in Seattle. You don't get to go around and talk to people to get their take on your actions or the railroaded final set of circumstances. Nopers, you're going to get a short little epilogue and roll the credits. Now, in previous videos, I've gone over my thoughts on gameplay and mechanics, and those thoughts haven't changed. Next, there are just too many unanswered questions. There is one huge Fabian reveal, and nothing is ever done with it. There's that skull. Why don't we get more about that? Heck, I couldn't stand Bed of Night, but they didn't even finish that mystery. And there are a lot of story elements that really just go nowhere. They needed us to go do something, have a boss fight, so we did. And what ultimately did happen to Verona? It's probably a good thing that the Chinese room is going to go back to making walking simulators and leave the RPGs to someone else. Man, I'm hoping Exodus and the Expanse Osiris Reborn hit it out of the park. And it's too bad the opportunities here were wasted. So what is my final thought on this game? Well, if you haven't played it, wait for it to come out in the bargain bin, and hopefully they will have patched some of these really big annoyances out of it. If you dig the lore, well, you might want to dive in and play it anyway, but the tedium might not be worth it. Who's finished this? Anybody doing multiple playthroughs already? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, why not give us a like and subscribe? Thanks for watching.